All right, chat. Are we live? Can you all see me? Okay. All right. So today we're locked in. Today we're gonna find out about the real Scarface. The untold stories that wasn't told in the movie that we probably watch about 100 times. Yeah. So we're gonna be watching the untold story about the real Scarface. This should be interesting. Yeah, if you haven't watched my first YouTube video that I just did, that one's about El Mencho. Yeah, he's a drug cartel. He was one of the richest drug cartels in the modern day. So you guys should go and check that one out. But let's go.
We all know the scene. A hotel room in Miami. A drug deal gone wrong. The sound of a motor starting. And then, the screaming.
Yeah, chat. Who remembers that part in the movie when he's in the bathtub and they start the chainsaw? Yeah. I think this part is from part of the part that was in the movie.
When Oliver Stone wrote the movie Scarface, everyone in Hollywood thought he had lost his mind. This is too violent, they said. Nobody cuts people into pieces with a chainsaw. This is fiction. But Oliver Stone didn't make this up. He had access to the secret FBI files of 1980. He read the witness testimonies. He saw the crime scene photos of what was actually left of the bodies. Scarface isn't just a movie, it's a warning. And the man who served as the inspiration for Tony Montana wasn't an actor. He was one of the richest, most powerful, and most sadistic men America has ever known. Today, I'm going to tell you the story the movie didn't dare to show. To understand who the real Tony Montana was, we first have to understand where he lived. Forget the Chicago of Al Capone. This is about Miami in 1979. The city was drowning in cocaine, and the epicenter.
Yo, chat. Back in 1979 upwards, that's when cocaine really took over the world. That's when people really became billionaires, not even millionaires, billionaires.
That madness was a place called the Mutiny Hotel. If you watch the movie, you see Tony partying at the Babylon Club. In real life, that was the Mutiny. This was the only place on earth where federal judges, hitmen, movie stars, and CIA agents sat at the same bar. They drank Dom Perignon at $500 a bottle and paid with duffel bags full of cash. That still smelled like the dirt it had been buried in. And the king of the mutiny? That was a young, handsome Cuban-American exile. He wore gold chains, drove a Mercedes-Benz with bulletproof windows.
Chat, that sounds like me, but the Benz is not bulletproof. But yeah, I ain't no drug dealer, by the way, so yeah.
And was always surrounded by bodyguards. His name was Mario Tabraue. Mario was the mastermind behind an organization the federal government.
They said he was the mastermind, the brain and everything. Where not even the federal government, could have outsmarted him at the time.
Simply called the Enterprise. While Tony Montana starts as a dishwasher in the movie, Mario was an architect of crime. By the time he was 24, he was moving millions. He didn't have a street gang. He had a multinational corporation. But there is one specific detail that proves Tony Montana was based on Mario something so bizarre. No screenwriter could have invented it. The tigers. In the movie, Tony buys a tiger to flaunt his wealth. It seems like a ridiculous...
You see, back in the days when people had all them billions, they was buying exotic animals, you know, tiger, lions. Crazy. Nowadays, people just spending their money on jewelry. Nothing's wrong with spending your money on jewelry as long as it's gold. You know, gold is up right now. Like I'm up on all my jewelry right now. You know, yeah. But back in those days, the billionaires, they used to spend their money on exotic animals.
Hollywood cliche. But Mario Tabraue actually did this. He ran a business called Zoological Imports. It was the perfect front. While customs agents were searching his trucks for drugs, they found cobras, leopards, monkeys, and tigers. Mario literally walked through his garden with predators on a leash. It was pure intimidation. Who is going to testify against a man who can feed you to his pets? But intimidation wasn't his only weapon. His greatest power...
My wife said, if you win, we'll fly to Asia. If I win, we'll fly to Paris. I bet you won't get toned with just...
Intimidation wasn't his only weapon. His greatest power was corruption. And this is where reality is...
Fuck. Chat, I need to get ad-free YouTube. I need to get that. Let's go again.
Far scarier than the movie. In Scarface, we see corrupt cops taking bribes. In Mario Tabraue's world, the cops weren't just corrupt. They worked for him. It has been confirmed in court records. Uniformed police officers, cops on duty, were actually helping Mario unload the drugs. Imagine this. You call the police because you see something suspicious, and the officer who shows up is the one loading the cocaine into his squad car. Mario Tabraue was. In every sense.
You couldn't have made that up. That does sound like something out of a movie. So now I understand why they made the movie. Because this just sounds like something out of a movie.
Of the word, untouchable. But like every emperor, Mario became paranoid. And paranoia leads to blood. This brings us to the moment the businessman turned into a monster dot in July 1980. A man named Larry Nash made the biggest mistake of his life. Larry was an informant for the ATF. He planned to infiltrate the Enterprise and betray Mario. But Mario's intelligence network was better than the government's. He knew
See what I was saying? If you go and watch my previous video about El Muncho, I was saying that nowadays the cartels are smart. They have intelligence units, you know, that also be watching the feds and working within the feds.
Was a rat. What happened next formed the basis for the most notorious scene in film history. Larry Nash was driven to a secluded house. He thought he was going to cut a deal. Instead, he was met by the top executives of the Enterprise. Mario Tabraue was there. They shot him, but they didn't let him die. The order was simple. Nothing of him was to remain. No body, no evidence. In the movie, we see Hector the Toad waving a chainsaw around. In real life, it was even clumsier and more brutal. Witnesses later testify that they first tried to destroy the body.
Yeah, this part in the movie is like one of the most, what word can I use? Gruesome scenes. Yeah, this scene. I like this scene. I look forward to this scene. Yeah, I like this scene.
With axes and machetes. But the human body is tough. It was taking too long. Someone suggested getting a chainsaw. While Mario watched and perhaps even gave instructions, the informant was sawed into pieces. The body parts were burned in an oven to destroy all DNA. When Tony Montana saw that scene in the movie, he was disgusted. He thought it was dishonorable. But the real Tony, Mario, to him, it was just a Tuesday. It was business. In 1987, the curtain fell. The government launched Operation Cobra. The goal was simple. Cut off the head of the snake. The raid on Mario's villa was massive. Helicopters, SWAT teams, federal agents. When they busted in, they found a paper trail, proof of a criminal empire that spanned the globe. The trial that followed was a media circus. Prosecutors called him the...
And you can't really always trust what you hear on these things as well, because back then the government, same way, they was corrupt, so they made up some of these things, to save their fucking ass. Most of these police back then was corrupt, same way. So most of this story that we're hearing is coming from corrupt police. And it's not really from, family members or like the man himself, because he's not even alive. But you just have to just take the knowledge you can take from what you hear and just know, yeah.
Most powerful drug lord to ever stand on American soil. But even in prison, Mario wasn't defeated. And this is where the story completely diverges from the movie. Tony Montana dies in a hail of bullets. He fights to the bitter end. Mario chose a different path. He tried to buy the system. While he was locked up, he tried to arrange a helicopter escape. The plan was insane. Mercenaries were to attack the prison, storm the exercise yard, and pick Mario up in a chopper to fly him to Cuba or South America. The plan leaked. The escape failed. And then came the hammer. The judge sentenced Mario Tabraue to 100 years in prison. Game over. End of story.
Yeah, that was brutal still. 100 years. Even if I had 100 million, it's too much. It's too much.
Or so you would think. 100 years means you die in your cell. But Mario Tabraue is a survivor. He did what Tony Montana would never do. He talked. He gave the government information. So much information that his sentence was
You see, that's what I wouldn't do. Right now, 100 years. I just feel like I have 100 years to escape. You get what I'm saying? So as soon as I get there, I'll be trying to build my escape. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll be trying to build my escape. I know where I'm sitting in prison for 100 years. Nah, not happening. Never.
drastically reduced. After only 12 years, the man who had people sawed into pieces was walking free on the streets again. And this is the...
But this is, this story is like way back in the 80s, right? Nowadays, people are still doing the same, especially like you be seeing like these American rappers, and not even just American, there's people in the streets and people in normal day of life that's like that. They had a reputation on the street, then they go to prison, they become a rat, they get early release, and then they realize being a rat, they get early release, so they keep up their fuckery, and they just have the other person, they just have someone in mind that they're gonna give up when they get caught, So it's like nothing has changed from then till now. It's the same shit. There's snitches everywhere. You get what I'm saying? It's fucking mad.
Biggest plot twist of all. If you thought Mario would hide in a basement, you are wrong. Do you remember that crazy Netflix documentary during the pandemic, Tiger King? Look closely at the first episode. He is there today. Mario Tabraue runs the Zoological Wildlife Foundation in Miami. He is a local celebrity. He gives interviews to YouTubers. He poses with tigers for Instagram models. He is living in the paradise he built with blood money. Tony Montana lost everything. His sister, his wife, his life. But the real
Tony Montana. You know, after doing this, I'm gonna have to go and watch the movie after this. Cause that movie is legendary.
Scarface? He won. The story of Mario Tabraue teaches us something uncomfortable about our fascination with gangsters. We love Scarface because it is a tragedy. We see him rise, and we see him fall. It feels like justice. But in the real world, the bad guys don't always fall. Sometimes they just change careers. So the next time you see the poster of Al Pacino, remember who is really hiding behind that scar. A man who proved that if you have enough money and power, you can get away with murder. Temu.
Yeah, chat. So how was that one? Did you guys enjoy that one, chat? I can see all the messages. No. Yeah, no. Scarface will be the legend. He has to go down as the legend because remember, you know, they say you don't become a legend until you die. But he's always gonna be the legend of the story. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing more videos. I'm gonna do a follow-up video after this one, and about Scarface. I'm gonna see what else is there available and follow up. Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate the support. Yeah, I appreciate it. I see the love, man. I appreciate the support. And I know half of you guys on here, I don't know you guys. Yeah, so you guys probably don't know me, so I appreciate you guys tapping in. You know, this is my second YouTube video. I'm not going to stop.